We have breaking news. The acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York has just resigned. That's from a senior official talking to NBC News. I want to bring in NBC's Tom Winter and Lisa Rubin, both here with me. Tell us about this, Tom. Is this related at all to Eric Adams and the push to get his case?
Well, the resignation letter, to be clear, for Danielle Sassoon, the acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, is only 2 sentences in length, we're told. It does not specifically address the directive that you referenced from the Justice Department and Emil Bovee, who is the current acting Deputy Attorney General, to drop this case without prejudice, meaning that it could be called again at some point in the future. And the letter specifically discusses that. So there were no plans for Sassoon to resign now. There were no plans for Sassoon to resign prior to this letter. So while she doesn't specifically reference it, it is very difficult to look at this letter as anything other than I'm not going to do this. In the office, a couple of things have come up over the past couple of days. First, let's talk about Sassoon. This is an individual who went toe-to-toe with Sam Bankman-Fried, cross-examined him, and by all accounts, really tuned him up when he was on the defense stand in his own defense in that case, and obviously he was convicted. This is somebody who's been described to me over the years as a killer, and they say that in a good way. Somebody who goes out there and gets the cases done. Somebody yesterday described her to me as somebody who represents the epitome of the Southern District, which is somebody who goes after cases without fear or favor, somebody who believes in justice. So that's who this individual is. They're a veteran of that office. I don't think there's any indication whatsoever that she ever wanted to leave. And she was there in an acting capacity until Jay Clayton, who's the Trump appointee for that office, could be confirmed. So just so people understand who she is, her connections to all this, and the connections to the office. There is nothing that has been docketed yet formally dismissing this case without prejudice. This has been directed by the Justice Department headquarters, main justice, as people refer to it. And so there's no other way that you could read this at this stage, barring any sort of other information, that this is a resignation in lieu of filing that order. Now, what happens next is...
She was not about to... Potentially.
Right.
This is the way we're reading it. She was not about to drop a case that she felt was strong, that she and her office had worked on a long time and felt they could win. Would that be fair to say?
To be clear, she was not a prosecutor on the Adams case specifically, but as the Adams prosecution has been arguing, they believed it was a very strong case, that additional charges were coming against New York City's mayor, including charges for witness tampering with law enforcement, whether you're a special agent 2 years on the job or whether you've been a federal prosecutor for 20 years. The idea of somebody tampering with your witnesses prior to trial is something that is a real affront to them. Of course, Mayor Adams has denied all the allegations against him. He's denied that there was any sort of crime here. And of course, this case has yet to go to trial, may never go to trial. So there's nothing there that we can say definitively about his guilt. But certainly prosecutors are moving forward with this case prior to this coming up. And I think for me, Chris, it was around the time that a press conference was called by the mayor this past fall prior to the election when Donald Trump was speaking at Madison Square Garden at a campaign event. I think it was several weeks before Election Day. And everybody was concerned because everybody thought, and everybody being the reporters, thought, is there some sort of security concern involving Donald Trump? Obviously, the target of 2 assassination attempts. We were then subsequently told there is no additional threat reporting. And so the question came up as to why Mayor Adams at that stage might have been wanting to do a press conference when there was no clear or articulable threat. And then the question started to be asked, is he appealing to Trump? Has he made the pivot here in order to get attention from the former president, now current president, to get some sort of a good outcome? To be clear, the memo says that there's no sort of exchange here about immigration enforcement in lieu of dropping the charges. But why did this get to this point? Well, the memo also points out that they're looking for Mayor Adams' help with immigration efforts in New York City. So,
and in fact, is meeting with Tom Homan today. So.
Exactly correct. So this issue is escalating, if you will. And clearly, if the acting U.S. attorney now has since resigned, Danielle Sassoon, believed that the directive was A-OK, she would have just ordered her office to file the dismissal and moved on. So yes, her resignation letter, to be clear, we are told does not actually reference a specific case. But in lieu of that, there does not appear to be any other reason for her resignation.